Several years ago, not quite 10 years ago, probably about 9 years ago, maybe 8 or 9 years ago, I met a famous bass player from a Seattle band, um, and he's not alive anymore. But I spent a few hours hanging out with him, um, and then I wrote probably a few days later, maybe a week later, I wrote a short film about it, about, because it was so interesting to me. Basically, like, so I wish I could say his name, but I just don't feel like it'd be the right thing to do right now. So, but he was in one of the big. I'm sure people that are in the know will know just by knowing that he was in one of the top Seattle bands, and he's not alive anymore. Anyway, so I met him. I was gonna go to this thing at the Bodhi Tree in Hollywood at the bookstore, but I stopped and I had like a hamburger at this place. I guess I was eating meat back then, eating meat again, but for a while I wasn't. Um, oh, hold on, my brother's calling. Well, I'll call him back. Um, where was I? That just tripped me up. So he came up to me actually while I was eating, and he goes, "Dude, you look familiar. Did we ever jam together?" Like, and I'm like, um, I was like, "No, I don't think so. I do play music though. What's your name?" And he's like, "I'm blah 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 from the band blah blah blah." But he at this point he wasn't in the band anymore. He was only on the first two albums, but like they were like really popular. So I knew who he was, but I wouldn't have, like, it wasn't like I would have known who he was by looking at him right away or something. Um, but I was like, whoa, that's so cool. Like, and I just ended up talking to him, and he's like, yeah, come with me. Let's hang out. And then I went with him to this apartment he was staying at in West Hollywood. And his sister came by and they were hanging out. And then he wanted me to go with him to get first he wanted to get something at a hair shop, and then he wanted to get some like a charger for his phone. And I don't know, it seemed like he was having trouble with the phone a lot. Anyway, it was really interesting to see his perspective on things. He talked about certain producers that he worked with, and I wish he would have let me do this and that. He talked about his relationship with his family. He's close with his sister, but anyway, and but then there was some lady that came over that was all, yeah, I just, she was like, knew him from rehab or something like that. And she was like, she kind of wanted to just get him like away from me or whatever, like as if I was like a bad influence or something. But like he like repeatedly asked me to hang out and stuff. It's not like I was just forcing myself there, because I don't do that type of thing. But she was kind of having this attitude like, who's this, and I don't know. It's weird with rock stars. Like, a lot of times there's people that come around that, you know, they, they want to stake their territory and be friends with the person, whatever. And I don't really play those kind of fucking games. But anyway, believe it or not, this guy asked if he could move in to the apartment that I was sharing with my brother at the time, because he was living in this other place kind of temporarily. He had moved down here from Seattle. And he actually was like, dude, money's not a problem for me. I still make, pretty good money from royalties. So I was really tempted to to let him move in. But the truth of the matter is, even though he was doing rehab and stuff, he was still doing drugs and stuff. And I didn't really feel comfortable with that. And so I said that I would actually have to talk to my brother about it, thinking I could buy myself some time. And it was just a weird situation, because it was like, think about if you meet some person who's in a band you listen to, and then all of a sudden they ask if they can move into your apartment, and you don't even know this person that well, but you're kind of like I mean, I was like just asking him so many questions, and he was really cool about it, because I don't think he was getting tons of attention. So he just told me a lot of really cool shit about just the Seattle scene, and I don't know, he just had a lot of really cool information. He also had some kind of like, harbored some sort of anger towards certain people and stuff. But it was really interesting to hear his side of the story. So, anyway, I hung out with him for several hours, and then this lady came by, wanted to take him to some kind of rehab picnic or something. And I at this point was kind of ready to just go. And he was like, no, you should come with us. But then that lady is like, oh, well, my car only fits 2 people. It's like, it's like a Mazda Miata or whatever. I was like, cool, because I kind of wanted to get going at that point anyway. We had exchanged each other's numbers and everything. So, but anyway, we talked a few. I thought that I would, like, he said he wanted to play music with me and stuff, but we never ended up hanging out again. We ended up talking on the phone maybe 3 more times or something, but we never really like hung out again. And then a few years later, I was in San Diego, 2011, I think it was. I was in San Diego, and I was going to this thing called Optimum Health Institute. It's like a health food place where I was actually doing a work exchange kind of thing there. And I bit into this really hard cracker and my tooth chipped. And then I was kind of walking around outside of the campus, like in town, and I saw on a newspaper stand that he had died. And it was just the weirdest freaking thing, because I was just like, oh, that's so freaking weird, Like, I kind of thought this guy was going to make some kind of comeback, and he's talking about playing music again. Of course, that was a few years back. So, it was sad.